Hi, my name is Céline Gareau-Brennan, and I am a business librarian at the Cameron Sciences, Engineering, and Business Library. This is the second of 3 videos for Biz 201 for the semester of fall 2021. If you have any questions about this presentation, do not hesitate to reach out to me. All contact information can be found at the end of this video and in the accompanying PDF for these videos. I will be sharing the PDF version of these slides that you can refer back to. In all the presentations I do, I hope to save you time and money in your research. More specifically, by the end of these videos, I aim to make sure you know the following. And in this specific video, I will be covering learning outcome number 4. In order to accomplish these goals, these 3 videos will cover the following. And in this video, I'll be covering resources for your individual research assignment. Now let's talk about industry research that needs to be done for your individual research assignment. To find the material needed to succeed in this assignment, we recommend the following steps. 1, choose the industry or subsectors that you want to research. Then check eClass for sources. Then use the library. So in order to use the library, go to the Industry and Biz 201 Library Guide. I show you how to get to the subject guides in the first video. Watch the tutorials for databases as needed, and then find sources by looking at reports, looking at articles, and looking for information online. Now, you want to read the information and analyze it to get a big picture. And so you need at least 3 reliable sources for this project. And you want to make sure you cite your sources. I talked about how important it was to cite your sources in the past video, so in video number 1. Now keep in mind that in business, there's no magical place to find all the information. So you sort of have to play detective and use all of these sources to find information that is most relevant to the argument or point you are trying to make. In a lot of this work, this means more than just copying and pasting parts of a report, but rather citing and using them in context for your paper. So for this project, it really benefits you to use the library since you will have access to much richer content. As you probably know from the first video, I'm using the marijuana dispensary as an example across these videos because that is not allowed for you to do as a project. So let's say for the industry assignment, I want to look at the cannabis industry in Canada. Well, if I find a report online, there's a lot of content that is blocked by a paywall. So I would have to purchase this to get full access to this report. For example, this report is $750 US. I will show you later the exact same report that is available for free to you as a student. And so keep in mind that is why you're using the library, so you don't have to pay sometimes hundreds or thousands of dollars to access these reports. So it's a good to remember that not all content you may want to use is available online. And this would include strategic plans, copyrighted material like books, articles, market industry, research reports, and investment reports. This is the type of material you can find at the library. That said, you may want to use Google to find the following information: government websites and information, product information, lists of directories of manufacturers and or suppliers, press releases, current news, select company financials, and some selected industry info. In the step-to-step guide to finding resources, I recommended starting with the library, referring to our library guides and tutorials for databases. In the first video, I talked about this longer, so I'll just be doing a short recap here. These subject guides are ways librarians help guide you to the information you need in different fields or even for specific classes. The fastest way to access business information is to go to our homepage and select subject guides. Once you have selected subject guides, you want to select business guides. As you can see here, we have different guides on the left-hand side for different topics that you may have to research during your time in business school. We have a subject guide specifically for Biz 201. A note here that on the right-hand side of the guides, you'll see a guide for citation, instructions on how to access Harvard Business Review articles, and a link to tutorials for some of our more complex databases. Here is what the Business 201 library guide looks like. For this project specifically, you may also want to refer to our industry guide, and this is what it looks like here. Now let's take a look at finding sources you may need to make your project the best it can be. For this project, you'll be looking for industry research. So industry research helps you find and look at the big picture. So new markets, trends, opportunities in a specific industry or subsector. Industry information can contain many different things and sometimes overlaps with market research too. Some of the primary things you find with industry information that might include a profile or history of the industry, current news about the industry, lists of companies that produce similar services or products. In business, there's no magical place to find all this information. So you sort of have to play detective and use the following places to find information and then contextualize it in your paper. So you'll probably want to look at industry reports and profiles, news articles, and journal articles. The following databases help you access industry reports and profiles. We will look at each of these in a little more detail, and I am trying to keep my examples consistent throughout these 3 videos, so I will be using cannabis industry since this is not an industry you are allowed to pick for a project or the Entra challenge. So first we have IBIS World here. This is a nice and easy one to use. It has industry reports from Canada and the US. When you type in a keyword into the search, it will also suggest some titles for you. You can select these directly or continue the search and look up everything related to your keyword. And this is where you would find the exact same report for $750 for free. And it is here for you to look at and use and cite too. Now we also have Market Line Advantage. This includes industry, company, and country information. Industry reports include market size, segmentation, and outlook, as well as the 5 forces analysis. Now the market line works well for keywords. So you can look up something with a keyword. Then you'll be given all the results for this keyword here. You can filter the results using the menu on the left. Also, geography is often key, so that's something you'll often use for that. Right here at the top, you will see industry profiles. I would recommend against using the industry profiles archive because these are older and the newest possible information is important when you're doing business research. However, it may be worth looking and scrolling down to see if there's any case studies or thematic analyses that would be helpful for your specific work. When you open a report right here, you can look at the table of contents and you will see a section labeled 5 forces analysis, which is really helpful since much of your assignment questions are related to this kind of analysis. And so this is something that would be really useful to look at is that 5 forces analysis. We also have Statista. Now, Statista includes statistics and general info on industry, company, and market information. Here, I recommend simple keyword searching and then using the left-hand menu bar to limit your results. We also have access to Fitch Connect. Fitch is a credit rating agency, and it has good information about certain industries. It has really useful 5-year forecasts for different industries, and it also contains SWOT, so strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, view for some industries. A relatively easy path to industry reports is to pick a country. So pick the country dashboard you want. Here I'm selecting Canada, and then select the industry from the industry risk right here. And it'll give you some great reports and some great even risk assessments in terms of that. Passport is another useful database for you to know. This is a global market research database that provides insights on industries, economies, and consumers worldwide. It tends to really focus on consumer goods, so something to keep in mind while you're looking at that. Here you can use the industry tab and look up the corresponding industry that you are researching. And it doesn't have all industries, right? This is the thing with all of these databases. They don't have all industries. The Conference Board of Canada is a nonpartisan think tank for Canadian business. And I do like recommending looking at this one, especially that it doesn't have business in the title, but it can be really useful. It's used by many Canadian governing bodies. And there is some difficulty with the search function. So the best bet is to select topic on the left and then select industry, sector, economics, and then browse. The most recent reports are at the beginning, and just note the importance of the date of publication, not just for this database, but for all of them. It's really important to get the most up-to-date information. And now this following list is not of library resources, but openly available business websites that you may also want to consult for articles and news about specific industries. Now, the following library databases are very useful when it comes to finding news and articles about a specific industry because they aggregate, so they bring together news along with articles that are either professional or academic. So we have something like Factiva. This is better for international news, and it has full text of newspapers from around the world in addition to Canada and American newspapers. We also have Business Source Complete. This gives you access to Harvard Business Review and also contains some SWOT analysis too in there. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. CBCA is great for Canadian content. ABI Inform gives you access to the Wall Street Journal. And then we also have Press Reader, which is good for Canadian news. Not so good for historical stuff, but in this context, you mostly want really recent news. Now let's look at them in a little more detail. So this is what Factiva looks like right here. You can see the news related to a specific industry by selecting the company's market tab and then the industry that you want. Right in here, you want to select industry. And then once you get to that point, it'll give you a list of industries and you select the industry that you want the news from. Now, the other databases mentioned above work a little differently. So to use these databases, there are a few tricks that are good to know, specifically using the operators and or and not. For example, if I'm looking for marijuana dispensary in a Canadian context, I may want to link these two keywords with the operator and, limiting my results and making sure I only get articles that mention marijuana dispensary and Canada. Let's say I want to expand what I'm looking for. So I may want to use synonyms or closely related terms like cannabis or marijuana to make sure that I'm capturing everything I want in my search results. You can also use not to exclude certain search terms. So in this case, let's say I'm not interested in hemp. I would just say not hemp. Note that when I'm looking for a phrase like marijuana dispensary, I put the phrase between quotation marks to make sure that the database is looking for all these words together. And it's not just everything mentioning these words separately. So I don't want everything mentioning dispensary. I want everything mentioning marijuana dispensary. As you may have caught on in using these databases, finding synonyms is extremely useful to get as many relevant resources as there are out there. So you may want to make sure you think of synonyms or closely related terms for your keywords before you start searching. This is because different databases and different authors may use different terms to refer to the same concepts. So let's see an example with Business Source Complete, in which I'll be looking for information about the cannabis industry. So I will use the advanced search, and in one box, I will type in cannabis or marijuana, and in the other, I'll type in industry or sector. And in another one, I'll type in Canada, CANAD star. This will look for anything with the root word Canada, so Canada, Canadian, etc. And I will make sure that I am using and right here to connect these three core concepts. And if you look at my results, I may want to limit the scope of my results further. And I can do that by adding more keywords to my search, or I can also filter my results using the menu on the left-hand side, where you can filter by things like date or type of publication. Once again, you want the most recent information. So you might want to just look up even the last 3 years, what's going on, just the last 5 years. This is dependent on your industry and how fast things move. A type of publication you may encounter while searching are trade journals. So trade journals are also really useful for looking up specific issues as they relate to organizational behavior, given all the practitioners contributing to these publications. And so you may want to limit just by trade journals, for example, or trade publications. Sometimes they're also called professional journals. It depends which database you're using and what you're looking for in terms of that. Now we've kind of come to a conclusion of all of the databases you want to use for industry, or some of them. This is just a sprinkling of what we have, but these are the most used ones, and these will set you on a path to success. So you can look at the other subject guides if you want even more. And as a reminder, sometimes there's industries that are cross industries, so they might be looking at different industry reports, or if something's really innovative or new, there might be less information out there on that. So just a heads up when you are looking at your industry. So in the first video, I also covered citation in a little more detail, but since citations are very important, I'll do a short recap here. So you do cite to adhere to the U of A's code of conduct, to give credit where credit is due, to allow your audience to do more research, and to make your arguments stronger. If you're wondering when you should cite something, here's an easy chart to follow. You are required to cite something when you mention it in the body of the writing, so in the text, as well as including all the sources at the end of your project, called a bibliography or works reference or reference list too. I have included links to citation resources for you. Once again, the business specific citation guide is probably the one that will be the most useful to you. It breaks down how to cite things from the most common business databases, even the ones we went through here. Purdue Online Writing Lab is not the U of A, but it has really great resources for exceptions. And we also have our citation quick guides. This is best for articles and books. This concludes our second video for Biz 201. In the next video, we'll be looking at resources for your entrepreneurship challenge. If you are still stuck or have more questions, please contact us at the library. I have listed some ways for you to get in touch with us here. All of this information can also be found on our website under the Ask Us tab on the right-hand side of the homepage. Thank you so much for listening here, and best of luck with your individual research assignment. I'll see you next video. And remember, you can always contact us with any other questions using this email. Thank you.